Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross from PTCGRadio, and I'm back with at least my final round of the Professor Cup Rules Tournament, which I played in Sutton Coldfield quite recently. You should, if you've been watching the videos in order by now, know that I'm 2-2, and in a 5-round tournament, there is no chance I'm going to be making top cut. I am playing here against, let's just say, a UK judge who is a good friend of mine. She doesn't wish to be named, and that's absolutely fine. And we're both 2-2 at this stage. We're both out of cut, so we know there's nothing really to play for. But I'm going first with my LunaRock Lunatone deck, and you can see from the Bergmite on her side of the board that I am playing another Avalugg deck. I do, however, get the turn 1 red card, and as we've already seen several times, red card Shauna. This does mean, however, that my opponent is going to be starting with a 4-card hand, rather than what would have been a 7-card hand, given that she drew 7, put 1 down as a basic, and would have drawn 1 at the beginning of the turn. So as you're going through the turns, in this kind of format, a lot of the time you have 3 or 4 cards. Red card isn't too bad. However, on turn 1, when you're dropping your opponent down from 7 to 5, as it's going to be, that can be a little bit of a pain. So I get my LunaRock with the energy, I get my Lunatone, so I'm going to be hitting for 40 next turn. Now this is my 3rd game in a row against Avalugg, and you'll notice I've lost the previous 2, so I'm not feeling terribly confident. As I've mentioned in my previous videos, the LunaRock Lunatone matchup comes down to, can you get your LunaRock attacking on turn 1 with Team Flare Grunts to take your opponent's energy off. In the previous 2 games, I haven't been able to do that, so I've lost both my games. The question is, am I going to go 2-0 and then drop 3 games in a row to Avalugg? So, my opponent gets the turn 1 Bergmite knockoff, that discards a Lysandra from my deck, which is annoying, but it's not the end of the world. That's not the one I need most of all. So, I do 40 damage with LunaRock, but I'm unable to hit my Team Flare Grunt. Crucially, however, my opponent does not hit her DCE. Now, she could have waited and played Shauna to try and hit the DCE, but then if she doesn't hit the DCE, then she's just basically given up what could have been an attachment, and it doesn't look like she actually hit it in her hand there. But also, if she doesn't hit the Avalugg, then she's basically wasted the DCE there. So she hits the Avalugg, but she's not going to be able to get an attack off here because she's already done her 2 attachments. This is already looking better for me than my previous games against Avalugg. I've got free energy on my LunaRock, and I'm not going to get the KO this turn. Even a muscle band would leave me 10 damage short, but I get a bunch of damage on him. So she gets the 3rd energy, luckily for her. And then she gets Pokemon Center Lady, which heals 60 damage. And then she's able to get off Avalugg's first attack, doing 40 damage and reducing the amount of damage I will be doing to her the following turn by 20. And now we're into the classic kind of Avalugg matchup. She's attacking, I'm going to be doing 20 less damage per turn. So the question is, can I hit my Team Flare Grunts? And the answer, apparently, just like in every other game, is no. She's had 3 manual attachments, and it's now her turn, which is somewhat of a pain. So she's going to be getting her 4th energy attachment. Now I believe that then there is a ruling being given here, and the ruling being given is switch your active Pokemon with one of your benched. Now you'll notice that my opponent does not have a benched Pokemon, therefore she doesn't have to switch it out. I unfortunately do, so I pop my Lunatone active. And what I'm thinking here is, I can basically just attach an energy to discard. The difference being, of course, that now rather than having one LunaRock with 3 energy and one with 2, I now just have a LunaRock with 2, which is somewhat annoying. So, I do a bunch more damage, and her Avalugg is very much on the brink of death here. I believe it's got 10 damage left. But she drops a Super Potion to heal 60, discarding an energy. And then she pops an energy back on. Now, I actually did 60 damage there, but of course, because of Avalugg's previous attack, that blocks 20 of the damage, puts it down to 40, and then she does 40 to me. So she's now got, I believe, 60 damage on her Avalugg, meaning that her Avalugg is blocking 20 and has 70 HP left, meaning I've got to do 90 to get the KO this turn, and I physically can't do 90. Even with a muscle band and those free energy, that wouldn't do the requisite 90 damage to get the KO here. Ain't now I can do about it, might as well stop crying and carry on. But I get a second energy on my Soul Rock, and for the first time this tournament, I'm actually worried about running out of energy. I'm playing 8 energy with no recovery cards, but I've got 5 on the board and at least 1 in the discard. So that's a maximum of 2 energy left. Which means if I get a third energy on that Soul Rock, I don't have a third attacker. Because Lunatone doesn't actually do an attack which does damage for any less than 2 energy. And I wouldn't have 2 energy. Now you notice my opponent hits a second Super Potion there to heal a bunch more damage. And she also hits a Team Flare Grunt to discard my energy, meaning that the absolute maximum now is getting those 2 Soul Rock up and running. I have got a maximum of 2 energy left in the deck, assuming none of them are prized. She does whiff the energy though, so you can see here the problem with a dedicated kind of Avalugg healing deck, in that there's very little I can do at this stage. So I'm using my Power Pad to get back Lysandra, and I didn't quite see the other card. It might have been a Shauna there, because I don't think I've seen a Team Flare Grunt yet, though I could be wrong. And I can do another 60 damage here, and it will be 60 damage, of course, because she didn't use the attack, so she doesn't block to 20 damage. But she gets the energy there, so she's going to be attacking this turn, and she gets the KO. Now, if I don't have a third energy here, I can only do my first attack, and that first attack is only going to do 20, which means the Avalugg will live to fight another day. Now I hit Pokemon Fan Club here. I know I've got no Pokemon left in my deck, but I'm just having a quick look what's in the deck, and I'm just thinning out my deck, to be honest. Maybe I'm going to get red carded. Maybe there's going to be a funny rule which makes me shuffle my hand back in or whatever. But regardless, I've got no other supporter to play this turn, so I might as well use it. Now you'll notice this is my third game against Avalugg, and if I remember correctly, I've still yet to actually drop a Team Flare Grunt, which is essentially my win condition against Avalugg. But my opponent has only just dropped her second Bergmite, and although she's been doing a bunch of healing this game, she's actually been unable to consistently have enough energy to attack, and certainly have enough energy to do the second attack, and this is helping me. So I'm playing a Shauna here. Essentially, I want to get my Team Flare Grunt for next turn, and you see another fancy rule here, and the rule is shuffle your discard pile back into your deck. Now, really what I probably should have done here, because I was already shuffling for the Shauna, what I should have done here was actually draw my 5 cards and then shuffle my discard pile back into my deck. But it's a fairly low-key friendly tournament, and at the end of the day, we are both out of cut. It's not a huge deal, to be honest, because actually the card I'm most after is Team Flare Grunt, and they weren't in my discard pile, so actually I'd have been better off drawing without the Shauna. But of course, the brilliant thing that has done is that I was moaning about my lack of energy. And of course, what's happened now is I've got that energy back, which is lovely. I've now got 2 energy on the board, and excluding any energy that I might have in the prizes, all 6 of my energy is now back in my deck. So here, unlike the previous games against Avalugg, you can see I'm in with a shout. And I actually get a KO on an Avalugg, good gracious me. And it looks here like I'm actually in the driver's seat and going to win this game, especially if I can finally start hitting my Team Flare Grunts. Because the beautiful thing is that it's that consistent damage. It's making sure that I can get that 40 damage every single turn. And of course, what Bergmite could stop to try and do in this particular situation is try and deck me out. But of course, I cannot be decked out because I've just got my entire discard pile back into my deck. And you see me there slam it down with pure unadulterated passion and joy, I hit a Team Flare Grunt. And that means that I actually get to discard an energy. And at this stage, with all the energy my opponent has used, and the energy she's had to discard with Super Potion, now of course some of that was shuffled back into her deck, but I just knocked a bunch off when I killed the Avalugg, then I knocked a bunch off there, and here there is a very realistic chance that I'm actually going to be able to get all of her energy off and actually stop her attacking for the rest of the game. And this is my win condition against Avalugg, as I've been saying for the past 3 games. Because, quite frankly, it hasn't been working. Here it took a while, but I finally took down the Avalugg, and let's be honest here, I had a fair bit of luck. My opponent whiffed a bunch of energy on crucial turns, had to drop Super Potions without drawing into a replacement, and that's why she's been run out of energy. But the fact of the matter is, I've been able to get the energy off, and that's been absolutely key. So I play a red card, and I believe I also play a Shauna there. No, I don't, sorry, I just play a red card. Yeah, I just play around. I don't know what happened to my deck there. Oh, there we go. I'm looking for a power pad. Yes, there we go. Now I'm using the power pad to shuffle those ones back in. And now I'm getting a Team Flare Grunt back. So once again, I've got both my Team Flare Grunt back into my deck, and I'm doing another 60 damage. So that Avalugg has got 10 damage left, and he ain't lasting very long. Now, there was a ruling there that you had to flip a coin, and if heads, you had to put 20 damage onto your active. I flipped a tails, putting 20 damage onto my Soul Rock. My opponent flips a heads, I believe, so lives to fight another day. Now she plays a Trick Shovel there to get rid of my Startling Megaphone. That's the card that lets you look at the top card of either player's deck and gives you an option to discard it, though you're not compelled to. Although why you would ever discard your own unless you were playing a fire deck, I really have no idea. Obviously in real format, you know, maybe want to do it for an Evil Tau deck to get Dark Energy in the discard, but why you would ever be playing Trick Shovel in a proper deck, I have no idea. So you look through there, she plays Professor's Letter. You could have noticed if you looked very quickly there, she had a DCE left in her deck. But you'll notice she has a single energy left. That is all the energy she has. Which means essentially, if I can hit a Team Flare Grunt here, I can guarantee she's not going to be attacking for the rest of the game. And it looks very much like I'm actually going to pull off a win against Avalugg, which will make me very, very happy. It appears my opponent here actually isn't playing anything other than Avalugg. She hasn't seen any other basics. She plays a Roller Skate, and it comes up as a Tails. But you see there she's got the double colourless energy in hand, so maybe there's going to be an attack coming soon. However, unless she can start getting some healing action going on, she's going to lose. And you see there's no healing. She's trying to take my energy off because I'm about to get me a win. And because it's my friend, I'm slightly elongating the win a little bit to be annoying. So that's my tournament. I end up at 3-2. Stay tuned. The next 2 videos will be one of the top 4 games and the final from this tournament. Other people playing this format, not me. And I promise you, you've seen the last of Soul Rock Lunatone, at least as a dedicated deck. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Make sure you like the video. Thank you very much for watching. And come back soon for the top 4 and the final.